the mead product?
Oh, I enjoyed it a lot. I think it's a great thing to try if you've never had mead. Some people say, well, I don't like beer. Well, but you like wine. Mead's a good in between with that.
So you think a lot of people in the area and the community are going to like the product that they're putting out here?
I think Richmond's a great market for it. I think everybody here loves local. Everybody's big on that sort of thing, and Bill's product is pretty much exclusively Virginia product. With Stone Brewery coming in, that they don't think that's a threat. I don't think mead's going to be a threat. It's just a whole nother product, and it's going to be something else that maybe people will be able to bring their car group to. We're going to do breweries all day, but we'll do the meadery too, because we know you don't like beer. So maybe it'll be a motivation for other people to come.
Cool, awesome. All right, man. That
All right,
should do it.
cool, awesome.
Thanks for the comments.
Yep.
And just another thing, I've had great conversations with some local brewers about doing some collaborations. Brewers, some of the cider makers in town, so there is some interest in doing some collaboration and working together on some stuff. So that'll be great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So last question. When I was here yesterday, I heard a lot of the conversation. Do you have a plan as far as trying to get your mead on tap in local restaurants, or what kind of plan do you have to move forward with the mead?
So our plan is to expand out of these four walls. I think it's great to have a destination where people can come and know that they can get our product. We'll do bottle sales here. We'll also do tours here because we want to continue to educate people about what it is we're doing here. As a commercial winery, we are limited to only doing 1 ounce tastes of bottles that we have for sale. We're ABC off only, so we would love to have a place where people can come sit and buy glasses on draft here. We're working towards that. We're hoping that we may have that in the future. In the meantime, we do need to kind of grow out from these four walls. So we do have a plan, excuse me, we do have a plan to move out of these four walls with a distribution agreement, which we're in the process of finalizing. Once that is done, we will have probably about 10 accounts around the city, 2 or 3 small restaurants, and then some bottle shops that have actual tap rooms where we can actually have available on draft. People can go in, they can buy a glass, 2, 3, whatever, and then if they really like it that much, they can go and buy a bottle to take home. So yes, we'll start with that kind of core group. We're a small enterprise. We're only putting out maybe 400 gallons per month. So it's a limited amount, and I want to be able to commit to those folks who I've been having conversations with that want my product, that I can keep them supplied. So we'll likely start sending 6-stolls or 5-gallon kegs out of here in April. We'll have some select accounts and really focus on the product and being there, doing some events to publicize it where I can go and I can do this talk and talk to people about what it is that they're consuming. And then hopefully the demand will continue to grow. We'll then ramp up our production and go out to another group of 10 and then slowly try and hit more and more places.
You did mention the law. What is the law about having a glass of wine?
So in the Commonwealth of Virginia, there are 2 classes of wineries. There's a farm winery and a commercial winery. Farm wineries are required to produce a minimum of 51% of their ingredients on their own land or on land that they have a lease arrangement for. Now, currently, we buy all of our honey from local apiaries. So we're buying all of our product. What I would need to do is get into an arrangement where I am leasing hives, space and hives from an apiary that constitutes 51% of my ingredients. That would get me into a place where Virginia ABC has said that would allow me to then reapply as a farm winery. Then I would be able to have a tasting room. The best example I can think of, Blue Bee Cider, which is the great cidery down in Manchester, they're a farm winery. And that's because they lease property in the Shenandoah Valley where they're growing selected heirloom apple trees, and those are being used for their juice. They also have some apple trees that are actually planted right around the cidery itself. But because of their lease arrangement, it's essentially viewed as them owning that land. So that's why they actually do have a tasting room where you can go in and get a full glass or 2 or 3 of their cider and enjoy it in their little room. So that's what we're trying to work together and do. There also is some movement on the legislative side to potentially allow commercial wineries in Virginia to have some of the advantages that the farm wineries have.
But if you were to sell your meat to a local restaurant, they can sell it in their building.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just-
So I'll have as a manufacturer, once I have a distribution license, I'll be able to sell to, let's say, Union Market. They'll be able to put it on their draft system and sell by the glass.
Got it.
And that's kind of what we're working towards.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's just because you're in the commercial. Once you go from commercial to farm, it'll be okay. I got it.
If I go from commercial to farm, that will allow me to have
you
a
could sell in your
designated
building.
space here.
Got it.
Right.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I was a little curious about that because I saw something about you can only give samples, something about
1 ounce samples, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome, man. Well, that should be pretty good. That looks
Cool.
great. Awesome.
Got a lot of positive feedback, entered in some, homebrew competitions, did well in those. Started feeling like, there really was an interest in it. And then once we got to Richmond, we moved here in 2006. We got beehives at our house, kind of got back into the beekeeping side of things so that I could have my own local honey for my meads. And then saw the craft beer thing really taking off again, kind of that second wave that was, I guess, kicked off by Hardywood here. And then the interest and support by Richmonders for craft beer. Also, we had a lot of restaurants, the whole farm to table movement, where there was lots of support for seasonal local produce. And we felt like mead should fit into that equation. So we wanted to explore a little bit more on the commercial, the sales side, business side, where we thought mead could fit. So my wife and I started a little Kickstarter project called the RVA Mead Lab in 2013. That was a crowd-funded project, essentially to raise funds to build a small little R&D facility, and that was just in our backyard in a little stable, where people could come in and, number one, learn about mead. What is it? Where does it come from? What does it taste like? I want to make some. So depending on the giving level of people, they got to come into the lab and produce their own batch of mead. And I provided all the ingredients, I provided the equipment, and whatever, as much or as little input as needed. Some people were experienced homebrewers, and it was kind of just a few little minor guidelines. Some people had never brewed before, so I got to kind of walk them through the process. We made their recipes, and what that also allowed me to do was really ramp up the amount of recipes we could do. In a year, we did about 80 different recipes. Once things were done and bottled, I would ask everyone to leave 3 bottles in the archive so that when the next group came through, we could sample. And each batch was numbered, each batch got sampled. We rated it and we talked about what do people like, what do we think could market. That kind of generated a recipe book, which we've been able to bring here. And we really got great response. We felt that indeed it was a viable commercial enterprise, that we had some good recipes, that we had good feedback. And that's what got the ball rolling for the Blackheath Meadery.
So you had a lot of individual support from the community too.
Indeed, and what was interesting about the support we got, being a crowdsourced project online, we had a lot of support locally, but I got supporters from all over the country. I got supporters from California and like the Midwest and the Northeast that really weren't going to be coming to make a batch, but were just interested in mead in general or in this small little enterprise. So that was great to see, to know that there really was a wider kind of appreciation for some of these small businesses focusing on locally sourced products, particularly mead. And certainly those folks who got on this journey with us, almost 2 years ago or over 2 years ago, a lot of them have continued to support it. A lot of those folks that were here last night were part of that. They got in on the ground floor, they saw what was going on, they kind of helped with the beginning, the genesis of this, and they're continuing to support it now with purchases of product. And there's still a lot of interest, and it's great. It's been really exciting.
Wow. So a lot of the customers that'll come in for the first time, they don't even know what mead is, and they try it. You think there's a lot of positive reactions to the first time people try your product?
I think so. We have, let's see if I could classify obviously we have people that have had mead before and people that haven't. The people that haven't had it, I would say for the most part, are pleasantly surprised with what they try. I think there is for someone that's never had mead before, they know it's made out of honey, they expect it to be really sweet. Because honey itself is very sweet. What we make is semi-sweet to dry meads, so they're not over the top with honey sweetness. Honey is always a prominent factor, and you know that it's made out of honey, but it's not terribly sweet. I think the human being has been conditioned that sweet things, most people like sweet things. So I usually get very positive feedback from people that have never had mead before. People that have had mead before, there's I guess 2 or 3 classes of those. One is, do you have a lot of people that have had meads at the Renaissance fairs? The handful that I've been to, those do tend to be fairly thick, fairly sweet and syrupy. So when they drink mine, a lot of them are surprised at the dryness of them, even if it's semi-sweet. But a lot of people seem to like that. And then there are people that are there's a small group of people that are real mead lovers that have been homebrewing mead for a long time, that have been consuming some of the other commercial meads that have been produced in the U.S. And are familiar with the product and the wide range of things. So those are the people that really will kind of, start to really analyze and pull things out that you might not get from other people. And obviously, those are the kind of people that can kind of give you a higher level of insight into the product that may help you, fine tune or identify something that maybe could be tweaked to improve it. And what's nice is, those people are giving feedback because they really care about the product and what's being made. And I can always learn something from them, so that's exciting too. But I think overall, it's a product that people have received very well.
So, being the first Richmond meadery, and now you're pretty much next to all of these breweries, do you feel like maybe they feel a little threatened, or have you had any feedback from these breweries now that you're a new product in the community?
Well, I think it was a good thing last night that at least 2, maybe 3 of the local breweries, their brewers were here to try the product and buy the product. That was great. I mean, and I've gotten to know most of the players in the craft brewing industry here in Richmond, and I've gotten a lot of support. I don't think anyone views me as a meadery as a threat. I think, I didn't get into this business to replace beer. I got into this business to provide an alternative alcoholic beverage for people. I think a lot of my customers are going to be craft beer consumers as well. They're going to come in here, and mead is going to be part of that mix of beverages that they drink. So I think for me, brewers, the other breweries in Richmond look at me as another player in this kind of growing scene. And I think even amongst the craft breweries themselves, there's still a fair amount of camaraderie and support of one another, because they realize that they're still in a small segment of brewing. I mean, up against the big, corporate, brewers that still dominate the market. So they're working together, and there is collaboration, even though they are competing maybe for some of the same customers. But the craft people seem to be supportive of multiple places. They're going to go to one place because they love IPAs. They're going to go to another because they love stouts. Hopefully they're going to come here because they love fruit meads or melomels or, some specific flavor that we're doing.